Hi guys, in today's video we're gonna go over making this rather handsome headphone stand. So I just published another video about making a table or a stand to hold the record player, amplifier, records, that kind of thing. And after that was done, I really thought to myself, you know, it needs something. It needs some place to keep the headphones. And why not take this opportunity to really kind of play and have some fun? So that's what this video is going to be all about. So first of all, material. Since I was kind of on a cherry kick with the record player stand and I had some more cherry hardwood, why not go that route? We're also going to be including some aluminum into this build, which is kind of exciting. But we're going to be using the CNC machine to cut the pieces out. Although you could easily take the same design concepts and cut the pieces out with a jigsaw, bandsaw, router, etc. There are lots of options here. The design here is the main point. The first step here, however, was to flatten the piece of wood down to 1.5 inches height, because that's the max length of most bits. So it makes the most amount of sense to go down to that height for the wood. Okay, before starting to cut the pieces out though, let's go over what we need here. Okay, so there's the top piece here that the headphones rest on. There are the pieces for the arm, and that's actually 2 pieces glued together. There's the base. And there's a ring on top, which is purely decorative to hide any imperfections and could be skipped if needed. Oh, there's also an aluminum disc, 1/4 inch thick, and 1/2 inch aluminum rod pieces here to hold the headphone piece in place. So this first piece here is for the headphones to kind of sit on, but we didn't use this first one. The angle wasn't quite steep enough, so just cut a new one. These were the pieces for the arm, and this was the first trial. And the design wasn't quite right. They weren't sitting as well. Plus, it didn't help that someone accidentally dropped it on the floor and it cracked. But that's kind of what you have to deal with more when you're working with wood like this. Pieces that might have some cracks and inconsistencies in them that aren't as stable. Especially when you have such a round design, there are going to be some areas where the grain direction isn't ideal. Now, if you use plywood, on the other hand, you wouldn't have those issues. But never mind, we had enough wood, so it could redesign and cut again. So here we have, this is a thicker piece of wood, and cutting out the base here. So first surfaced it with a 1/4 inch bit, so I didn't have to switch the bit. And also surfaced a larger area than I had to. I needed the base to be 1 inch thick, so I needed to cut it down by about 1/2 inch. So here, make the hole in the middle first, so that way it's easy to later on find the center again. If you need to turn it over or whatever, you can center the machine very easily to know the center point. So started with cutting the bottom, and this is the section that the arm will fit into on the bottom. So cutting a rectangle that is about 1/2 inch deep, or about the same thickness as the arm was wide. After that, cutting out the circle, and started out with a larger circle, but then the whole base just kind of looked a little bit too large. So decided to reduce it in size a little bit and make it just a little bit smaller. So here it is turned around, and you can also see that we've added some hide glue mixed with sawdust to stabilize a few cracks. Because it was a couple of areas that looked like they could break if you started cutting into it. So trying to be on the safe side here. Here you can see, since the center has that hole, it's really easy to recenter the bit right into the hole after flipping it around, and then set that as the X and Y axis on the CNC machine. So here we're cutting a 3/8 inch lip down about 1/4 inch. And this is for the aluminum disc to fit into. Now the aluminum is secured with blue tape and super glue and activator. So first up, just surfacing it to make it flatter and cleaner, and that went fine. Now the problem was cutting out the disc. There was just too much resistance when cutting, and there you go, there's the bit breaking. Fortunately, it had cut enough so we could finish the cut by hand with a hacksaw and coping saw. And here you can see what that looked like finished. I thought it would be really nice to add an engraving to this piece though, so we're doing a test here first, using an engraving bit. The tip here is 5/1000 of an inch, so it's a really, really fine bit. The result is very crisp. I love using this bit for engravings. Now gluing the pieces for the arm together here. And as you can see, it looks kind of cool. Now this arm here was kind of an awkward shape to sand, like you couldn't use a palm sander or anything like that. You wouldn't want to put too much pressure on it, but this solution worked out instead. Okay, time to glue the arm to the base. We're using epoxy, and that's because we're going to use epoxy when gluing the metal to the wood as well, so might as well just use epoxy for the whole glue up. So the way the arm here is fitting into the base is really one of my favorite parts. I love how it just like, it's so seamless when it fits into the bottom like this and it just comes out of it like that. And then next step here is gluing in the metal disc as well. And the metal disc here really adds a good amount of weight, which is really nice because you want that added stability to a piece like this so it doesn't feel flimsy or so it doesn't tip over when the headphones rest on it. And then glued on the ring on top. First we weren't actually gonna add this ring on top, but then since the disc, it wasn't like as crisp as you might have wanted it. So to kind of hide that a little bit, we added this wooden ring on top, which actually I think looks really good. It kind of adds a little bit of a dimension to it. And then next up, gluing on the little aluminum rods. And the reason for that was to raise the rest for the headphones up just a little bit. And initially we were actually going to drill holes to have them sit inset in the arm, but since epoxy is so strong, decided to just go that way instead. Now for a finish, shellac, first a seal coat and then a couple of other coats, and some metal compound on the aluminum to shine it up a bit. After making this, I was thinking, you know, this would make a pretty awesome lamp. If you take this concept here, but instead of this here, you have a light bulb coming down, hanging, you know, mirroring the bottom, hanging with a wire coming down. I kind of feel like doing that. Although I think if I were to play around with the concept of this again, I think I would go with plywood, with Baltic birch. Like the cherry is really gorgeous, but it takes up a lot of cherry. Like you need a large piece to be able to do something like this. Wood like this can be kind of finicky and crack easily, whereas if you're using plywood, especially if you use Baltic birch or something, you have a lot more options. It is a lot more stable. You can, you know, cut multiple pieces and glue them together. So I kind of think that's what I would do if I were to, you know, try this concept again, like for lighting, which I think would look kind of neat. It would be a nice idea. The other point here with this, we were doing some tests like in the early stages and the thing kept falling over. You need it to be stable enough so that it can just sit on its own, but also hold the headphones. And that was really the main reason for the aluminum, other than I also like really wanted to incorporate aluminum because I think that looks really nice. If you like the look of this, you should also check out the video of the stand for the record player, where you can kind of see this sitting there as well. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions, any thoughts in the comments below, something that wasn't clear in the video. Trying to create this kind of little quiet place where you can go and hide away from other people in the family, and put your headphones on and listen to your favorite records, that kind of idea. Later on, this record player is going to go in a travel case for the Teardrop trailer. I'm kind of working on that right now, which is going to be kind of a fun project. But I don't think I'm going to take this along on the road. I think this belongs sitting on that table at home, you know, so you can put your headphones when you're not using them. So anyway, I want to say a big thanks to our patrons for supporting the channel and the work we do. We really appreciate it. It makes a really big difference. If you want to become a patron and support the channel, I'll put a link in the description below, and I'll put links to any products that we used as well, if I can think of any. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!